And have you done any ministering since then?
I have haven't done too much. I've assisted a few funerals, and I had a couple of baptisms up at the altar up in the mountain. I had a couple of weddings up there, and a few of those things.
The retirement syndrome, when people stop working actively, they usually deteriorate rather rapidly. You have not.
No, and then of course I wouldn't have quit. I kept on down here, but I broke my arm, up here. Just came out of that drugstore and slipped on that iron step and flew clear out on the highway, struck my elbow and broke my arm, and that just knocked me out all over physically for a long time. But it wasn't. I couldn't put in the cast. I just had to sit up. And I had to sit up to sleep, and it just took
Very painful.
took a lot out of me. So then
Sure.
that's
So that's when you decided to
about time to
slow down,
slow down.
but not quit
No.
entirely. What do you do these days to occupy your time and still keep your mental faculties as sharp as they are?
Well, I do a lot of reading, and I like to work in the garden, somewhere in the lawn. I like to hunt, like to fish, and I like to go to games. But
And your wife is still active and still able, up and around? And
yes, she isn't well. She isn't too well, but she's older than I am. Of course, that makes a difference.
by how much? I'm sure she'll appreciate that when she sees it.
My birthday is the 4th of January, and hers is the 18th of January.
Oh, well, no wonder.
And,
Okay.
During those years, we're the same age, and then she gets a year. Now she's 80. Yeah,
She is 80, but you,
I'm 79.
yeah, I see, for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she'll appreciate that, won't you, Mrs. Deppen? Suppose we,
Another thing I've appreciated is, of course, when I came back here, when Reverend Reed came here, I understood that he had taken some action in council that shut me out completely. I wasn't supposed to have anything to do with the church program, and I certainly didn't want to interfere in any way. And but a little disappointment is that some of my friends, down there when we would have a funeral, the United Church Christ pastor and the Lutheran pastor, it didn't matter who it was, we both paid the service. And I thought, well, when I come back here, I'll get a few people assist with funerals, something like that. And the strange thing is that the only place that's happened is here in Beavertown. The Randall Hassinger and Frank Hetrick and Grace Nestor and Emily and
because you've always been held in high esteem,
Kaufman's.
not by just your congregation,
Kaufman's,
but by the whole town,
and
the
the
whole
whole
community.
community. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. It's
Now
rather unfortunate that doesn't, I'm sure the feeling extends to the other communities, but if there's any politics involved, why?
Mr. Gill, I am assistant for the funeral of his wife, but that's it. It's all right.
Well, it's not really all right because it's not very Christian.
No.
But, and that must hurt considering all the years of service you have given and all the people you've helped out all along the line, and then they turn. But it's not unusual, in a sense, though you've moved around, this is your hometown. A prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown and home area. And that's a very difficult pill to have to
I remember
swallow.
one time I had rather disappointment. This boy up here that they live in a trailer up there. Sarah Bomber and her husband.
Oh, Wayne Ballmer, when he was
Ballmer.
killed in
When Wayne
Vietnam.
Bomber was killed, Glace called to me and he said that they would like you to, I'd baptized him and confirmed him. And they said they'd like if you would assist in the funeral. And I said, is it all right with the pastor? He said, yes. I contacted the pastor and he said, yes. Okay, I said, I'll do it. I drove 90 miles, came up here at the time of the service. I didn't see the pastor, didn't see a thing of him. I stood around outside till it was right up time of the service. I went inside and sat down and took in the pew and listened to the service. And then when the service was over, when they brought the body out, Glace said, would you want to ride along up to the cemetery? And I said, yes. And after we got up to the cemetery, then the pastor came to me and said, would you like to pronounce the benediction? I drove 90 miles.
I remember they had a military funeral. It seemed to me they had several regular Army troops come and fire a salute, played taps, as I recall. Wayne was one of my students, and he liked me as a teacher very much, and it was regrettable that he was killed. I remember the funeral very well, that is terrible to have someone. He would have liked you too, very, very much. Of course, the benediction is still something, but not really what Wayne would have wanted, I don't think, from his hometown pastor. Let us say that the bitter pills we must swallow in life, I need not tell you, sir, you've seen many people have them. Your dignity is unblemished, and your status is unblemished. There's an old saying that people won't harm a battleship by throwing spitballs at it. And in the case of these political or quasi-political things going on, it's like throwing spitballs at a battleship. Long may that battleship, Reverend Deppen, rule the waves, and you have been such a reward, such a treasure, such a resource to our community.
Thank you very much.
And you have been a resource to the Historical Society by coming and sharing just some of the things with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry we didn't have, we had some members missing because of illness, colds, and that sort of thing, and we didn't have other members here really to ask you some questions. Perhaps we might have another little session later, but the lateness of the hour would indicate that we probably won't. But in case we do, we'll back up and eliminate these things I'm saying now, and have the other members ask. Yes.
Now this, can I tell a couple of surprises?
Oh, by all means, absolutely.
Okay.
This is your life. You mean someone gave you this is your life?
One night we got an invitation, my wife and I, to be sure and go down to Beavertown at a certain time.
And where was this?
Beavertown, the Lutheran Church.
Oh, the old Lutheran Church.
In the one
our
Lutheran,
yeah.
This was in 35. I've been here 20 years. We came, and nobody around. After a while, Esther was there. There's only one Esther Arn. And Esther said, now, we thought we'd have, listen, you've been here 20 years, we thought we ought to have a little bit of program for you. And about that time, I heard somebody talk, and here it was my mother. My mother was talking.
Behind a curtain.
Outside, they had fixed up a microphone. And then just one after another, people began to talk, and I began to realize what had happened, what was happening. And so this is the program. That's what you were.
Perhaps, if I might say so,
That's what one surprise.
there was a program on television that Ralph Edwards had called This Is Your Life, where a guest of honor was invited to an occasion that he didn't have any suspicions about, and then people from his past, his parents, his wife, his long unseen brother, friends who he had not seen for years would come and surprise him. And this whole thing was called This Is Your Life on commercial television. Well, instead of being on commercial television, this was an actual event in Beavertown in the Lutheran church here where they did the same thing.
That's right.
And then, of course, afterwards, I'm sure they all gathered around and you had a little
Yes.
sociable, a little social gathering.
My classmates were there, and the pastor who helped me start the seminary was there, and my friends from Lairdsville were there. That was one of the surprises.
Oh, that would be a real
And then
surprise.
Another time, one Sunday, I came down to church, and people were coming down from Sunday school, and they said, "You're not having a service today." "I'm having a service today," and I said, "What's going on?" "Well, come back this afternoon, but not now. Then go on home." I came back in the afternoon and came in there. The people were all sitting, and here they had the 25th anniversary for us.
Your 25th what? Wedding anniversary?
No, 25th
Anniversary of being a pastor.
of being a pastor.
Oh.
And then the last one, of course, was over at Troxaville. That was just a year or so ago. They had a 100-year anniversary.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And about a year before, they called me and they said, "Now, we'd like you to preach on a certain Sunday." And I said, "Now, listen here. I'm an old man. I may not be living then. I can't promise to preach that long ahead of time." I said, "Okay." So it went on. I didn't think much about it. And one day the pastor called and said, "Now, we want you to come over Sunday for the service and have the sermon." And I said, "Well, I have a sermon down at the Brick Church." "Oh, those people are all going to be here." I said, "Okay, if they're going to be there, I'll do it." And my wife didn't say a thing. My granddaughter didn't say a thing. We drove over, and just as we pulled up to the church, there a great big bus pulled in. People started getting out, and I said, "Well, heaven's sake, there are all the people from Stoverstown." Now, a whole bus load paid $10 a piece to drive up here for this
Special
Then they had a dinner for us, and gifts, and they just used every chair in the church was used. It was completely filled, I'm telling you. So that's a nice surprise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can understand.